this leads into kind of like my origin story for being out in Sign Shop. In 2012, I hadn't planned on going, and my husband and I were part of a team that were opening a restaurant, and hadn't said like a word to anybody. And then this woman that I worked with comes by the bar and behind the bar, and she just looks at me and she goes, "Did you read the latest JRS?" We like don't know each other, really. And I was like, "I did."
Have you read Piss Clear?
Well, it was such a funny way, right? To like feel someone out.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're into this, but I'm gonna really kind of see if you are like on the down low. And I was like, yeah, I've read.
That's so much more subtlety than I've ever posed that sort of question with.
Yeah. And she was like, "Are you going this year?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, we're doing this thing. I hadn't planned on it. Like, I know my husband can't go." And she was like, "Well, I have an extra ticket." And I was like, fuck. I definitely want to go. And so that led me to, going to my partner and being like, "Hey, so I'm going to go to Burning Man by myself." And he was like, "What? You are going to get lost?" Like, how? I'm so concerned, like just knowing how directionally challenged I am. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. Like, because we have done that. He has like taken me out to an intersection in the city and been like, "Okay, where?" And I'd be like, "This way." And he'd be like, "No, this way." So he was like concerned. He's like, I'm just a little concerned about your directionally challenged. And obviously this is something that I love with all my heart and I would love to go. And I'm not going to tell you like not to go do this thing, but I'm definitely going to be envious that you are going to be out there like partying, like you're going to Burning Man, like go do the thing. So it was kind of the first time I had done anything on my own like that. Like, we met so young, we got married so young, we had kids so young. It was my first experience of like going to do this massive thing all on my own. And I went out there, slept in my car. I told all my friends I wasn't camping with anyone. I wanted to do everything by myself. I camped like near the woman's camp that had given me the ticket. And I would like roll through there like on my way to all the adventures to like go do the things, but I didn't have a camp. So I was never one of those people that like got stuck while someone's getting ready or you're waiting for the group or any of this stuff. It was just me and my little jet boil and my car and like all my costumes. And I would just wake up every day and look at the book and figure out where I wanted to go and just go on every single adventure. And the weather was incredible that year. I don't remember there really being any like massive dust storms or anything at all, which was very lucky for me. And I just had this such an incredible experience that I actually left Saturday before the man burned because I knew
you'd gotten it all.
I did. I had done so much stuff. It was just really, and I knew my partner was going to be off for the next couple of days. And I was like, if I go home, then I'll totally surprise the fuck out of him. And drove home and definitely surprised them. And we ended up getting, partaking in the things that I hadn't partaken in like more than I had when I was out there. Because like as a single woman, you got to kind of keep your wits about you. Mm-hmm. And so I had this terrible fear. I was like, I hope you don't think I was like this the entire time. Like, this is definitely like the most wasted I've gotten the entire week is like at home with you. Yeah, and so been going back ever since. And 2011 was the year that we had our theme camp in our giant art car. We had a 14-foot diameter, the Pac-Man that looked like it was eating the city.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was us. We had a Snowpack was our theme camp, and we had retro video games, and we gave out snow cones, and people would come get snow cones and like sit in our lounge and like play video games.
That's perfect offerings.
We brought our sons out that year because it was rites of passage. So we thought it would be a great year to have them come out. And this past year, actually, my 19-year-old came out with his partner. I'm trying to get my older son to come out. I'm part of a collective that kind of does other little festivals throughout the year. And he's really attached to like one of those festivals. So I'm hoping to get him to skip that to come to the burn this year. But it's pretty funny to be like, no, I'm going to do this thing instead of that. And I'm like, I promise you'll have a good time out there too. So...
Well, festivals.
I'm D-Day.
Oh, I'm Beth.
I'm Rex, and I like truckers' nuts.
I like any knot you can tie in a storm.
This is Accuracy Third. We like knots.
This is going to be a theme. This entire season is a theme. Welcome to Season 7, the season of themes.
It's a really good season so far, right, listeners? Please let us know if it's a pretty good season so far. I'm really enjoying the editing more than most years I do this.
It's so much nicer now that we're doing Burning Man
Yeah,
again.
I'm having a good time at Accuracy Third this year. Are you? Let us know on our Discord. There's a link in the show notes that will point you toward our Discord. Who knows if it works? It's supposed to work all the time. I get lots of emails that say it don't. If it don't, send me an email, and I will update the link between 2 and 24 hours from the time that you message us, which you can do on Bluesky. Bluesky, you don't need a code from me anymore. Join us. We're tweeting on Bluesky. So, Beth, do you know Dark Sparkle?
I don't think that I do. If I've met Dark Sparkle, it has been in passing.
Rex, why don't you tell Beth who Dark Sparkle is so I don't have to?
Dark Sparkle is the current head of Sign Shop.
Ah.
And she's fabulous.
Following along on our theme this season of weeding.
Mm-hmm. Weeding and fabulous people talking to us about Sideshow. We had a fantastic interview with them. They came. They were excited. They spoke into microphones. We let them know in no uncertain terms where our listener appreciation party is going to be. And then we became friends, she and I. I understand she and Rex were already friends, but now I have a friend in Dark Sparkle. And listeners, so do all of you.
And are you going to let me know when the listener appreciation party is?
I don't know when it is, but I do know where it is, and you'll find out at the end of the episode.
Fine, I suppose.
This is fabulous. I really like the rhythm and the style that you're used to.
Sometimes we get to volunteer people things or get voluntold ourselves. It's a beautiful exchange with the community.
So, I'm sorry. Head of Sign Shop, can you let me know what Sign Shop does?
Exactly what it sounds like.
And we're going to hear what Sign Shop does in this episode. And so are you, Beth. You are going to learn about our new friend, Dark Sparkle. A question that I have before we get into the episode. For you, Beth, why not? Beth, what is a roustabout?
In DPW?
Unless you can give a broader answer.
No, I don't even.
You don't know the full lore of the
No. A roustabout in DPW are folks that are sort of like hands to throw at a problem. So it's like they are probably pretty new or at least very into it. It's a way that teams find folks that are really well suited for those teams. And at the same time, it's like an all-purpose, like, these are hands that can come and do shit situation with the roustabouts.
D-Day, I'm usually the resident know-it-all here, but I want to see if you want to fill in, Beth, on the history of that term.
Of roustaboutery?
Yeah.
Carnies, Beth.
I assumed Carney.
It all
absolutely Carnies.
goes back to Carnies.
Okay.
And
circus folk.
and circus folk. And, you know, there are a lot of people in this world who are very, very good at one or two specific things. And there are some of us, more than the amount who are good at very specific things, who are pretty damn competent at a whole panoply of different things. And that's the ideal form for your roustabout.
The roustabouts at a circus or a carnival are going to be the guys who are like pounding stakes into the ground and hauling on rope to get the big top up.
So really, if we're talking literally, then Oculus is the roustabouts.
The roustabouts who work with Oculus are the roustabouts.
When I say that, I mean that in contrast to what D-Day would obviously be doing, which is biting the heads off a chicken.
Yeah, I'm doing geek stuff. I don't work before or after the show. I am in the show.
The roustabout is like the lowest rung on circus folk. Once you graduate from roustabout, you can like work a booth, you know, do a concession or something. But the roustabout is like
They are the galoots.
they're they're the ones that scoop the elephant shit. You know, roustabouts.
But also know how to tie one of the names for one of those knots that you need to tie places.
Running hitch.
Yes. If that's what you use to tighten down a tent, I expect that's what it is.
I prefer truckers, not for tents myself. Really anything under variable tension.
That's it. I don't have a third thing.
Well, then we better throw to Dark Sparkle. Now here's how you can tell exactly what kind of a gear dork D-Day is. He's been talking about D-clips this whole time. He doesn't have carabiners that he uses very frequently because carabiners are a pain in the ass.
What?
Carabiners have the locking nut, so they can't.
Those are just locking carabiners.
Those are carabiners. D-clips are D-clips.
Nah.
Yeah.
D-clips are a different shape. D-clips are like a half circle with a little spring in them. Carabiners are half the shape of a pear. But the point is, we're not here to talk with D-clips. We're here to talk with someone else today.
Oh, that would be a good ply name. Save that.
Someone else today?
D-clips.
D-clips. Okay, let me put it in the
The folder.
I've got a whole note of swag and other stupid stuff. Yeah. See, I've got T-shirt for front tug, Ranger Angel jerk off. This place fucks.
Yeah.
Dumb is 3 letters away from fun. D-clips. All right. But we're doing an interview right now. Let's pin that up. And who the fuck are you?
I am Dark Sparkle.
Hi, Dark Sparkle.
Dark Sparkle was summoned.
It's true.
Yeah, we definitely called your shit out.
You fucking did.
So are you like a sibling to Dark Crystal or something?
No. Is there an actual Dark Crystal? There should be if there
There
isn't.
ought to be.
Yeah.
The only one I know is the classic Jim Henson movie.
Yeah.
Would you give that to somebody who's more Gelfling-like or more Skeksis-like?
How can you even remember what the Gelflings are?
Come on.
Skeksis for life.
Yeah,
Nah,
They
man.
can fly.
Buzzard lizards. That's what I want.
Lord.
So Dark Sparkle, you come to us from Sign Shop, eh?
I do.
How's that?
It's fucking awesome. It's a good crew.
How did you find yourself on top of that heap?
Ooh, well, I feel like I'm a baby DPW because I started volunteering for DPW in 2019, and there was
It's prelapsarian.
there was some flux that was going on in the shop at the time, and I was mostly unaware as a volunteer up until the point that a woman that I was working with closely, who was the assistant production manager at the time, told me one day that she wasn't coming back and she thought that I should apply for her job, which I was very confused by because I had just started volunteering maybe like a month ago for DPW.
You must have showed a lot of competence in those 4 weeks.
I feel like, showing up and going to morning meetings every morning as a volunteer. It was just an amazing time for me. I had gone through a pretty rough time that had led me there. Like, I live in Santa Rosa. We had a really gnarly fire come through town in 2017. I'm in the service industry. I've been bartending and serving for pretty much my whole career. And unfortunately, the bar that I was managing at the time in 2019 had a weird freak flood that happened. And after we had fire after fire and then the flood, I was like, I need a fucking break.
Need to not
And
be suffering from a biblical
fucking
curse for a
natural
minute.
disaster shit has got to stop. Like, I love California with all my heart, but it was a rough time for a lot of us. And I had a few friends that were in DPW already. Had been going to Burning Man since 2006, and I had done a gamut of things. I had volunteered for greeters. I had run a big theme camp. I had a giant fucking art car, but I had never kind of made my way to DPW. But I had some friends that were like, why haven't you done this yet? Like, you love it out here. You want to be out here for as long as you can. What's stopping you from that?
Let's ruin this for you in a completely different way. Yeah, you want to be bored of some other shit?
So mainly what was stopping me is like I have children and a career and a partner and, even though I want to be out there, my partner was like, please don't run away and join the circus.
Yeah, but how about just for some of the year?
Well, that was like very early on. There was a year.
I've gotten that early relationship ultimatum before.
It wasn't even that. There was a year that we went out and I saw El Circo perform, and I was a fire spinner in Conclave for like 3 years. And I saw their performance and I met up with some of the people and they were like, you should come perform with us. And I went to my partner and I was like, oh, I really want to go like perform with these people. And at the time our kids were really, really young. And he was like, no, like you cannot run away and join the circus.
But the kids are easier when they're younger. They're so much closer to luggage.
Definitely not. And so he'd already like said that to me very early on in our Burning Man career. And at this point, they were old enough at the time. And I had known enough people that they were like, you really should do this. And so when the bar flooded, I dissociated by reading fairy smut on my couch for like a month and read like a 12-book series. And then kind of came out of that and realized that I had a friend that I could call, an amazing woman that I had met that stayed in my house. And I thought, why not reach out to her and see if it's possible for me to just come out and do DPW. This is April. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I think this is the year that I finally can do the thing. And she was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, everything. And she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? And I was like,
special projects.
I mean,
roustabout.
I didn't even know what a roustabout was. I didn't know anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Until you run away to the circus.
Yeah,
first
exactly.
You're not going to know.
Yeah, I didn't know that there were DPW roustabouts until I started working out there and someone was like, we have roustabouts today. And I was like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
I had no clue. And I had talked to my friends and they were like, we really feel like with your artistic side, sign shop would be a great fit for you. And I was like, what do they do? And they kind of explained things to me and I was like, yeah, that sounds super cool. And then I was talking to a few other people and I was like, fluffing sounds super cool. There were several things that they said that I was like, I want to go out there and I don't want to be committed to like one thing. I want to see what everything is about. And shortly after that, I got a phone call from her and she was like, is there any way that you would think about coming out and helping to run our saloon? The saloon person has just left us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no.
That's my day gig.
So sorry, but that's like way too close to like what I do in my real life. And I don't really want that to be what I do when I'm out there.
It's not vacation to do what you do for work for vacation.
And I didn't know really like anything about the saloon or what that commitment would look like or anything like that. And shortly after that, I got a call from the person that they had hired to take over the saloon and asked if I was interested in just coming out to like see what it was about and do some stuff. So I ended up going out really early before crew got out there and working in the saloon to essentially like clean it up, do inventory. And it was like magical. Like I loved every second of it. Just like being in there, seeing what the saloon is, seeing the memorial wall, all of the things that are there that are for us. Mm-hmm. My first like introduction to DBW was like this empty space that you can tell like we all love so much. Uh-huh. And so I was out there for a bit and worked on getting everything set up for the crew to come out there. I got to see what life would be like in the estates. And since there wasn't anyone out there, I happened to like be able to have a room to myself. And I got the lowdown of what it's like when everybody gets there and like how that works.
What's that like and how does that work?
And does it work?
Yeah.
Well, not for me. And I know that. And there's a lot of people and all of their stuff in very small shared spaces. And I know what I need in order to be a happy person. And I had the capability of bringing out my own space. My partner and I had built out our truck to do a tour of around the country with our kids to see like all of the national parks and stuff. So my truck was like already built out for me to have my own space to live in. So I was like, I'm going to dip out and go get everything I'm going to need in order to keep myself in the space, like mental space that I want to be in, to come back and do the shit the way that I want to do it. And so I went home, packed all my shit in my truck, headed back out there. I think it was before Fence Day. I think I got there the day Fence Day was happening. So it was kind of quiet in town. And I ended up helping my friend work in the office for a bit until everybody got back. And like now that I know what Fence Day is, I'm kind of bummed I didn't come out the day before, because everybody comes back and it's all this camaraderie and you're like happy to be there, but like you don't really know what you're missing until you miss it, And so we went out to Playa and I was going to morning meetings every morning and got sent out to do the sign shop and started working in the sign shop. And it wasn't really, what's the best way for me to say this? It seemed like I was going to need to really like prove who the fuck I was,
Yeah.
They were very much like, we've had volunteers that haven't really shown up and it's a pretty cush gig and like all this stuff. And everybody was kind of like off doing their own things. And
Look at her. I bet she's going to call the X-Acto knife a box cutter.
luckily I'm really good with my hands, so it worked out well for me. But Coyote's wife, Mel, was super kind to me and showed me all of the things that I needed to be doing. And
Completely checks out. Mel is one of the kindest humans imaginable.
definitely. And we talked a lot like about DPW and their kids and where she was at and how season was going for her. And then they asked me to help them paint like 3 of the signs. So they had already done the design, already ordered the paint. Everything was already ready to go. You just show me how to lay everything out, what colors went where, and paint like all these signs. So I just like blasted through all of this work. It was just like the best, most fun I was having. Every day I would show up to morning meeting, and instead of like going to Leeway whenever he would like call for the roustabouts to come over, like Sign Shop would come just like get me.
Hell yeah.
Like, you're coming with us still. And so I ended up painting 3 signs that year, Esplanade and Rods Road, and I think Jove.
What's Jove?
Jove was a road that year.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Good for us.
It was the same year that was like Icarus.
Yep.
Esplanade had like Medusa scales.
I haven't
on
even
it.
bothered to pay attention to what the names of the streets are since like maybe 2007 or 8.
Nice.
Yeah, I stop after the first letter. Everything after that's meaningless.
Now that they're alphabetical forever, it's you don't have to memorize them.
At some point, were they not alphabetical?
During Floating World, they were the parts of a ship.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. It's fine for nerds like you and me.
Uh-huh.
But,
It is not good for people like me who I am directionally challenged. And in our default world, I rely on maps like you would not believe. Like, my partner will take me places and like stand me somewhere and be like, okay, which direction we go? And I'm like, that way. And he's like, no, that way. It's like so bad.
My dad and I have a really good sense of direction. My mom and my brother, seriously and literally and historically true, have gotten lost leaving a Wendy's.
Yeah.
And have been in the parking lot on the other side of the Wendy's while my dad and I are in the car like, it's been like 12 minutes. Should we like go back in?
I have gotten lost in a house that I'm not familiar with. Like, lights on.
Sitting at the end of the
full
hallway
thing.
just
Like,
crying.
where did I come from? Where do I go now? I don't know.
sometimes you can make 4 rights in a house and you're not where you...
You just keep taking rights as you go, and eventually you'll find your way out.
The year that the annulars were ship parts, they also tried to make the radials actual degrees.
Oh,
Good.
And about halfway through the week, they swapped them back out. The
yeah,
clock faces.
I bet.
Nobody used
Yeah,
them.
when you can't get ESD to where they need to go, it's a problem.
Definitely. Yeah, that's why it's wild to people that know me if they come out to Playa, and I will navigate us in a dust storm from like deep Playa exactly back to where we need to go. My friends are like, what's happening? How is this possible? And I'm like, when you touch every corner of a city, you damn well better fucking know how to get people or get home, or you shouldn't be doing this job. Yeah, so I painted, and the biggest thing that people kept saying to me was that they loved seeing me at morning meeting because I was just that like glowing person that had this big smile that was so excited to be there. And I'm known for wearing like rainbow colors. So I'm this rainbow in a sea of black, grumpy, crusty people that's just so excited to be here and to be doing what I'm doing. And what I do remember is that when the production manager position came out and I went out for it, I interviewed for it, and ended up being told by Coyote that I got the job at the exact same time that they were canceling the event for 2020. So he's like, congratulations, you've got the job in 2021. If it happens and if you want it, it's yours. And I was like, of course, I would love that. Yeah, it was the same phone call, which I was like, okay. And then I remember in the beginning of 2021 when it was kind of still being discussed. I remember all of the meetings that we were having surrounding what it would look like to have an event in 2021, what that was going to do to like verify vaccine stuffs or like cause backups if people weren't very, like, there was just so many things that were being discussed that like how we could do it, but how it would be possibly not going to work too at the same time.
Oh my God, it would have been a disaster.
I remember when Marion, I think, was making the announcement, I was so nervous that it was going to happen. And I remember being very relieved, like when the announcement came out that it wasn't going to happen, which was interesting because obviously I want to go out there and do some cool shit. And then because I had done some work in the saloon, I unexpectedly got a phone call that was like, hey, we're not doing the event this year, so we're going to work on infrastructure. Would you be interested in coming out in this small like bubble of people that will be doing infrastructure work for a few weeks in 2021? And I was like, yes, of course. Like I had no idea that this would even be an option. I would love to go out there. I went out there and it was a small group of us and we were working on infrastructure in the saloon. And I brought a very dear friend with me out there and we had this like slumber party vibe in the estates. And we went to build things and upgrade things and ended up doing all of like the patches that you see, like everybody's 10-year patches that are like up around the walls in the saloon and like a bunch of work in the saloon. And that, little did we know, was kind of gonna be the beginning of what was gonna be called NVO. So I guess I was part of the beginning of people that were out there working for Nevada Properties. And none of us knew any of that, like at the time, like what was going to be coming down the road eventually. And I ended up like cooking for the crew, just doing different things, like things that needed to be done in the saloon. And then in 2022, I went out for 2.5 months as the assistant manager of the saloon for April and May and a little bit. Took a break to go home to watch my youngest son graduate from high school, and then came back out to be the assistant production manager of the sign shop. So I was out for 5.5 months in 2022.
Oh, pretty cool.
It was awesome. It's a really magical time to be out there for that long and to see the people that live there and to talk with the locals and to be in the bars and to see all of the crazy weather that happens. It snowed on Mother's Day. Like it's just a magical place.
Yep.
To be out there.
High desert is weird.
Definitely. Yeah. And then I work with some really, 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 really amazing women, and myself and the installation assistant manager, Sweet Peach, had an incredible season in 2022, getting a lot of shit done. And when it came around to the 2023 season, the manager position became available and I went for it and I got it. And that's how I ended up here, from volunteering to assistant production manager to manager in 3 years
That's
of
a
DPW.
meteoric rise. You timed that perfectly.
I did. There was definitely that right place, right time kind of situation happens in these situations.
So is it like 3 years up to the apex and like another 3 years till you crash and burn, or
Well-
you're going to keep moving on up?
Oh, no, I love my job. I love my team. I love everything that we do.
It'll be a while before Nips retires.
Oh, don't even tell me to fill those shoes, dude. Hard pass.
What does Nips do?
I was just looking for the apex. Nips is one of the Council of Darkness.
Huh? The committee of DPW.
Yeah. I believe she's on NVO Council.
Oh, that's right.
There's two now.
It's so confusing. It's going to be forever before I figure
You should have seen the beautiful little like board that was made with all of the post-its that laid out all of the structure of
Nice.
how NVO was built when they brought it to us at the DPW manager meeting, when the whole thing was like, there are now Nevada properties and DPW, and this is who's here, and this is who is there, and this is how all this works. So, it's basically the ranch and the saloon, and I'm going to forget a bunch of other things that it involves, but it is the people that are there for such a long amount of time that they do need a different set of support than just DPW and the council. And that being our focus is just building the event. They do so much more before DPW gets out there.
God, there's so much property out there these
Yeah,
days.
for sure. Some of the longest contracts, 9-10 months. Yeah, so here we are. And now I'm doing my best to have Sign Shop be fucking killer, with a killer team, and getting the things that we really want to have happen in the shop happening, and making sure everybody has a good time while we're doing it.
So let's find out a little bit about Sign Shop. So obviously you guys make the street signs,
Yes.
and lots of the steel back black vinyl.
Burma shave signs.
The Burma shaves, pretty much every sign that you see out there comes through the shop. I think the only sign that we don't make is the very large artistic sign that is as you turn off of the pavement onto the playa. There's usually like a very large, something that has to do with the theme for that year.
Had no idea.
Yeah, they're huge.
It's been a long time since
you've
I've
gone
gone
down
in that road. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I say, I always like to make sure that I preface that with like, if all the signs, because we don't have anything to do with that one. And I have to say, when I was listening to the Call Out podcast when Tiny Vinyl was on, the way that she was describing it was, I think she just said metal, and it kind of made it sound like the street signs were metal, and the street signs are not. They are wooden cutout, and they are hand painted by the team. And what I like to do is whenever they announce the street names, send out that list to the team and see who resonates with what, and have them take that on.
Oh, nice.
And then they will work on some sort of design. And then I have another amazing production assistant manager, my very dear friend, Sailor Moon. And she works with the team on the computer to translate whatever they have. If it's drawn, if it's on the iPad, if it's on whatever, she will put it into like Photoshop and make it what they would like to see on the sign. And we have a very large vinyl cutting machine in the shop that also cuts styrene, which is very thin plastic.
For stencils?
Yeah. And so we translate all of those designs into something that can be cut as a stencil to be painted, which obviously if there's like an O or an A or a D, something, you got to have these little bits that keeps everything connected. So your brain really has to work in a different way so that you can understand how this is going to translate to be cut as a stencil. Tons of work. And she killed it last year. Last year was her first year. Then once all of the stencils are cut, I have paint ordered for everyone. We go out, we work on the ranch, and we have this beautiful, amazing space with a tree and grass and shade. We have a barn that we paint in. We put fans, and we have like long pieces of wood that we set up on different spaces. And you lay out all of the blank pieces and you prime them first. And then you take your back color, or if it's in my case, sometimes like I did glimmer, which was like a rainbow gradient. We have lots of gradients that happen. And then you layer your stencils on top of that for your design. And then in addition to that, we do all of the department requests or things that are required, like the fire lane, no driving, no camping, like all this stuff. And then they introduced the bike lanes, which is like walking pedestrian only areas, which are very tiny.
Huh. So like on A.
No, this is like back on like D or E. They start and it's like
little walking
10,
alleyways?
maybe 15 feet. Like they're very small. And it is only for bikes and walking and no driving.
Wild.
I think they just introduced that in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And in addition to that, like we go out for fence day, we go out with Gate Road, we go out with Roadworks, we pound all those tea stakes, all of the tea stakes that you see that we put the noodles on, the signs on, like all of that. Like we're out there pounding all those tea stakes. So it's not like we're just sitting in the shop
making signs.
You're not
signs.
greeters.
Listen, I was a greeter a year. Come on.
It's too hard for me. I'm not up for collating.
It's an all right way to kill 4 hours.
I also love that. It was super fun. We're out there, working with Roadworks, working with Gate, working with Fence, getting all these tea stakes in. And then we're also doing production on the ranch. And so if a department like the airport, for example, needed a bunch of signs from us, we will put everything into Illustrator and figure out like how everything's going to fit, because sometimes I have to tell people they can't have a paragraph on an 18 by 24 sign. It's just not going to, no one's going to read it.
How small do you think our font
Well,
was?
I mean, no one reads signs anyway. So it's like, I get it, what you're going for here, but let's space this out a little bit.
You should just put up plaques places. Just like, this thing was built 2 weeks ago. It was created by such and such.
Definitely. Yeah. And so that gets into the weeding that Tiny Vinyl was talking about. And so you have all of these department signs, metal signs, and I order those from out of house. So I get them all shipped to us and then have everything like fit on them. And we'll have a system where it's like this order goes here and this order goes here and you're working on this and you're working on that. And at the same time, people from the team will be working on their hand painted signs. Everything is in constant motion when we're in production. The one thing that I do have to correct is that we're not the camp that you come to make your sign. There's a separate camp. Please do not come to Sign Shop on Playa and try to make your own
I have
sign.
no idea where Sign Shop is. A Sign Shop on Playa?
Let's keep it that way.
Okay.
And so
We'll talk offline.
sounds great.
I'll make a sign.
There is the camp, and they've been doing it for years. Their name is Fairywood. And we actually work with them and give them our stencils. And we give them our paint, like the colors that we're using.
Nice.
And we take all of that to them. And it's been a gift that they've been giving to people on Playa since I've been a part of Sign Shop since 2019. I'm not sure prior to that, but probably prior to that as well.
So if we can find them, they'll tell us where you are.
This is the shitty part about it, is that I just got word that they're not coming out this year.
Boo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be doing that at Center Camp.
Hashtag opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. If there's a camp out there that wants to offer it to people,
Come to Center Camp. Make a fucking street sign instead of stealing the street signs.
please, that would be.
We have a whole paint area.
That's awesome. I love that. And I definitely wanted to say,
I'll bring it to the meeting. Fine. Now I'm going to that fucking meeting I don't want to go to.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I don't know if they'll be back in 2025, but if there is someone or a camp or something that would like to offer this as a gift to people, I would be happy to work with them to give them the stencils that we use and let them know what the paint colors are. And yeah, please don't come to Sign Shop on Playa and try to make a sign. We take everything from the ranch and assemble it in our camp area. Our camp is a work construction area. So the 2x2 strips, everything, all of the hand painted wooden signs, which, as you know, are, I think, well over 250, 300 something,
Oh, sure.
get transported back to our camp. And we build all of them and have to load them up onto giant shade trailers We have 2 teams that split off to opposite sides of the playa, and we work our way from 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock towards the center, putting them at each part where they need to go. And this includes the fire lane and the no driving camping and all of the weird no biking, no walking, esplanade this way, pick up your trash, every single one. So it's over, I'm sure, close to 1,000 signs that we end up putting up in the city.
Wow. How many on top of that you end up making for departments to put up on themselves?
It depends. Like, if we have signs that department can reuse, which we do every year, they will end up, putting those up themselves. So I'm not sure how many get like recycled from year to year. The biggest order that we had last year, I love her to death, was from Dump Muff for our waste systems. Because as you can imagine, we need butts here, glass here, metal here, and they are our smallest sign, which is 6 by 18. And so there was just, I don't even know how many of those that I handed off to her. But yeah, and then the airport had a bunch of them. Luckily, we do have a pretty big spreadsheet, but we also make...
I think all of our teams do.
Some of the biggest that we do is like the rental stickers, right? So we put all those yellow stickers, the red stickers that go on the BMTs and the SLTs and the stickers that go on the golf carts. Like all of that stuff gets made by us and cut by us and on the vinyl cutter and hand weeded by the whole team.
My God, that's a huge job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we're out there mid-July for production. Yeah, and then we move to Playa, and that's when installation happens. And that's when Sweet Beach will take Wink out, and they will go do some of the fire lane and some of the no camping and some of these, bike lanes and stuff. And then we'll go out with separate people and end up doing these little odd jobs everywhere that build up to us putting the street signs up, because we have to wait to put the street signs up until the Friday and Saturday before gate opens, because people steal them before gate opens. And it pisses me off so bad.
It's dangerous during the event. It's so stupid and dangerous beforehand.
Yeah.
When you don't even know where the fucking streets are.
You are here to build the city, and you're literally already stealing something that's very integral for people to use.
To be fair, if I didn't steal a road sign during setup week, I wouldn't get one at all.
That's why we don't have it.
Everybody says. And that's why we have to wait to put them up until the very, very last minute. There was the year, I think it might have been 2019, that someone had stolen pretty much an entire row of signs before gate open. And Sweet Peach and I went out with bullhorns, just screaming at people up and down the street, put them back. Gate hasn't even opened yet.
You guys need sign shop guardians. We can create a whole new fucking team.
We try. When we're out there, everybody's so excited. When we're out there, we go out there, they see us. It's even, we're excited. This is the culmination of all of our hard work. We have dumped our heart and soul. A little piece of our art is going to end up in someone's home, and they're going to love it for the rest of their life. We love going out to put up the street signs, and people will be out there and they'll see us put them. We're dancing, putting them up. All the tape, all the wire, wrapping all the things, all the reflective tape, everything that we need to do to put the sign into the T-stake.
And they're waiting 50 feet away with a ladder on their shoulder.
We try to tell them, we're yo, all we ask is if you wait until after the band burns. They're oh, nobody does that. And I'm if you protect this sign, you get to take it home. And they're what? And I'm yeah, totally. If you, please don't get the Rangers called. Don't attack someone or make your life hard. But just if there's a way that you can be,
flag down a cop.
Someone, BLM, can you imagine? They're stealing. If you do that, you're the one that gets to take the sign home. So if you can take ownership over this corner and you are making sure that it stays there, then obviously you get to take it home.
Have you ever thought about booby trapping them?
So,
I mean, all it would take is a half dozen people going home smelling like liquid ass, and the word would get around. Maybe don't steal these.
I mean, we may or may not be putting trackers on them just until gate.
Just to see
something. I don't know.
If they can fit them in the COVID vaccine, they can put them on those signs. That's all I'm saying.
We may have talked about how to embed them so that they can't just be scraped off when people take them. I don't know. I haven't really put much thought into it.
I can help you with that. I already have. We just have to laminate our own wood.
Which we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yep. Great. So now I work for Sign Shop, right?
Yes.
Good news.
I'm glad you set Sergio up in the kitchen.
That's how I'm going to figure out where they're camped. I know they're camped in only one of 3 blocks.
Definitely.
I can allay some of your worries about people coming and bothering you at Sign Shop. I had to go find Sign Shop for like totally official reasons. I went stomping through the various work camps strapped with radios, asking everybody, official business, where's Sign Shop? And I got blank looks.
I bet. Which is wild because we have a very large sign.
Sure, you would.
Hand painted by Dino on our crew that is this like replica of this patch, this like beautiful
Such a good patch.
Oh, it's a great patch. Yeah.
Viking situation that we've got going on. And underneath that, my other crew member, Delicate, came up with this amazing saying is, "You're so vain, you probably think this sign is about you."
Oh, I saw it. It's so fucking funny.
So that's like right under our giant sign. So I don't know.
Oh.
You can't. We're right
So,
there.
yeah, you were like half a block away from plumbing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Great. Yeah, I didn't see the sign that said Sign Shop, but I sure shit saw that. The point is, our listener appreciation party is going to be at Sign Shop this year.
Okay.
Thank you. So that's been confirmed.
Oh my God.
We'll give you guys a date and a time when we get closer to the end of the season.
All right.
Fabulous.
Oh my goodness. We'll see how my team feels about that.
It'll certainly make it easy for people to find us because there'll be a sign.
Yep.
Definitely.
It's okay. This year I hear we're going to bring the flag.
Oh, nice.
Don't look around here. It's up in the attic.
Okay, good.
With the shit that we actually take to Burning Man.
So you said you started going to Burning Man in 2006?
2006.
How
Yeah,
did,
it was my first year?
How did you get hooked on this dumb ass thing?
Well, I've been a raver for a really long time.
We call them parties now.
You took the plur route.
Definitely. And I remember I'm from the South. I was still in Florida at the time.
Oh, the South.
Yeah.
The dangle.
The dangle, for sure. I remember seeing something on TV, and I feel like it was a news story, but like longer, like a 30-minute thing. Maybe it's just my brain, because Lord knows my memory is shot. But I remember seeing this thing about it, and they were like talking about the desert and talking about the festival and like all the stuff. And I was like, that looks like right up my alley.
I think there was a short piece on Al Gore's current TV.
Maybe. That does sound vaguely
I believe there
familiar.
was. Or whatever the Air America version of that there
Something.
was. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad y'all remember this, because Lord, that was bothering me.
It's one of the few things that like actually scratched the surface of what the event is.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, it's dirty out there and these fucking druggies are dumb. Look at them dance.
Yeah.
Then they burn their shit. Can you believe it?
There was some of that for sure, but it definitely piqued my interest quite a bit. And I was stripping at the time. I was a stripper for a really long time. And I was stripping down in the Keys. That's where I met my husband.
We'll get that story off mic.
He was going to Burning Man. His brother had got him a ticket, and I was like, oh my God, I've heard about that. Like, I've always wanted to go to that. I can't believe you're going to that. I'm so jealous. And he was like, we had just met, and he's like, you could totally come. And I was like, no.
Yeah, not with you. That's fucking weird.
No. Listen, he had seen me every different way from Sunday making money at this point. It wouldn't have really been weird to go to Burning Man with him. It was more so like, this should be like your thing with your brother. I'm not going to be the like stripper who tags along with you to fucking Burning Man, dude.
Fair.
I don't know. I think that's the romantic comedy we need to really put our culture in the zeitgeist.
Oh my God.
If any screenwriters out there in the audience want to get in touch with me, like we can write this thing in a month or two.
I get some royalties from that, though.
Oh, yeah. You get 10 cents anytime anyone mentions my name. That's fine.
So we had known each other for 2 months at the point where he was like leaving to go. And he said he was leaving his job and he was going to come move in with me up at I didn't work in the Keys. I actually worked at a club in Orlando, and the owner found out that he could have nudity at his place in the Keys. So he essentially built like a playpen with a pole in it and would send us down
All right.
from the club in Orlando to work these big like boat sport fishing capital of the world. So these guys would come down in their yachts.
Yacht
And
guys.
they'd be like, yo, you want to get on my boat? And it'd be like, no, dude, it's me and you in the ocean. Absolutely not.
Do I want to be more isolated than I've ever been before in my life with you?
I mean, like,
I'm
you don't
already
have
on
to do
a
anything
key.
you don't want to do. Here's the ocean.
Yeah, it's implied.
And my husband was a chef at a resort on the island, and there were 3 bars on the island. So, like, obviously, if you're a young chef on an island with 3 bars, you're going to go to the place that has the naked chicks, right?
Sure.
So he works on the island, and he decided that he was going to quit his job and move up with me to Orlando. And he proposed to me the night before he left for Burning Man.
Wow.
That's a warning sign. I understand it turned out fine in this instance, but for everyone who wasn't immediately like, ooh, think about that.
Luckily, we were still together over 2 decades.
That's
We've
amazing.
got a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old.
It seems like it was one of those things that looks like a red flag, but you just need to change the color balance.
There you go.
Pink flag.
Sure. Yeah. So he went, and then we proceeded to have children and get married and do all that fun stuff. And then my youngest was 2. We ended up getting a sitter and being able to head out there for the first time in 2006. I think it was Hope and Fear. That year, there was like a very Tool man, you know, with like the babies and or like the fetuses and stuff inside.
Oh,
him.
in the man base.
Yeah, it was like very much like Tool art with different.
Yeah, it was, what's his name? Alex Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those paintings. And there were those 2 like wooden lounge chairs that you could put goggles on with the red flashing lights and the knob to really key in where LEDs can go in your eyes and create gamma waves in your brain.
Wow. I don't remember that.
It's phenomenal. If anyone's an electrical engineer and wants to build that for me, please do. They're expensive if you buy them online, and I am shit at soldering.
Yeah. So we went out and had an epic time. But also, that was like when the event didn't really happen until like Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
You
great
know,
back
Yeah.
then.
Build week was like Monday through
Yeah,
Thursday.
100%. Like Monday through Thursday. And I remember very clearly we were out wandering around, my husband and I, on Wednesday night, and it was like crickets
Half dark.
on the playa.
Well, everyone had just finished Wednesday afternoon, so
Like-
you sleep Wednesday night,
Yeah.
and then you go out and
There
party
was like
Thursday.
nothing going on. There was this one drum and bass DJ, I think somewhere along the Esplanade, and he was kind of like wrapping up a little bit, and we stumble up on him, and I just pulled out this like handful of chocolate mushrooms, and I was like, please take these and keep going. So that we can like party just a little bit, you know.
You and me, man. You and me. We could do this all night.
Definitely. And so, yeah, I just remember very clearly it being so different to what it is now. It was just like, you would still see camps. I remember the Psytrance pyramid that hadn't even gotten done till like Friday or something like that. It was like so big, you know?
I hadn't thought about that in years, but there were years where like the Esplanade just never popped.
Yeah.
There were a couple years before 2010 that like only 3/4 of the front-facing giant Esplanade camps finished building.
Yeah, 2007, we went back for the Green Man. I'm so pumped that I was there for the year that the man burned early. I would have been pissed if I would have missed that. That was
such a wild
on the
event.
lunar eclipse. Like, I remember this because the gaggle of us that were out at the time had just walked past the roller disco on Playa, and I've roller skated my whole life. And so, like, I love skating on the roller disco. My husband is 6'4" and like 280, and he's a skateboarder.
Jesus.
And we're like going by the roller disco that I don't even remember how many of us there were in the group. And I was like, yo, when are we ever going to get to roller skate on the Esplanade during a lunar eclipse? And he was like, when am I ever going to get to go look at that blinky thing over there?
I like your husband.
The lunar eclipse. Like,
Yeah.
And
what am I going to break my ankle trying to roller skate on warped plywood? I don't know.
For sure. Listen, he has skated with me. We usually get remarried out there every year on Playa. And one year I was in my wedding dress and he was in a tux, and he actually roller skated with me in my wedding dress. And we were roller skating. Of course, this group of ninjas just came, like 50 of them, onto the roller skating rink. And we're just having this epic ninja battle in the middle of it. But 2007, I'm trying to convince, and we're clearly of sound state of mind at this point. And he's like, there's no way I'm doing this. And we look and somebody rides by on a bike and we're like, what is on fire over there? And the person on the bike turns back and looks at us and is like, the man's burning early, which you and I both know. Everybody jokes all the fucking time about, we had even talked that year about setting up a giant magnifying glass to like set, it's always a constant joke. And we're like, no way. There's no way that the man's on fire early. And
I was so condescending to people when they told me that I was like, no, I've been here before, motherfucker. We joked about that last year.
You're not getting me. And so we're sitting there for a second. And then, of course, you see this like wave of people just start heading towards it. It was a very clear split in our group of people where the men just took off towards the madness that was happening. And the women were like, no.
We can watch that from here. We see it from here.
I'm not, because there's, and then it's like, I told you I'm directionally challenged. Okay. And my friend and I, we decide that we're just going to like stay where we are. And that became very dangerous because then like the fire trucks and the actual like emergency vehicles start just flying by us. And I was like, we have to get the fuck out of here. We somehow, holding hands in our state of mind, amble our way back to camp. Somehow, by the time we got back to camp, everybody had made it back from the fiasco that was happening like with the man. And they were all talking about how wild it was to see him put out. Like to have to like watch the fire trucks like actually like put the man out. And they're like, it was just a wild experience. Our friends actually had an art project and we're actually in the year in the pavilion. They had like a tree. I was inside underneath the man kind of directly.
I was so worried you were going to say we had this electric car.
Oh no.
There was just my buddy William's diesel car that ran off of waste vegetable oil that we got there in underneath, like directly underneath the legs of the man. Thank God they put him out.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a wild experience too, to hear that there was just so happened to be a warehouse close by that had all the green neon that they needed and all of the things. And like, I remember standing there, seeing the flatbed come in with the new man on it and to watch them put him up again. I mean, that was definitely one of my favorite years out there. So after my sign shop contract in 2022, I took a contract with NVO and ended up working from October all the way until my sign shop contract started in 2023 for NVO. It was an awesome experience because I was able to work remotely supporting an incredible woman. I got to go to Gerlach to work in Gerlach for a week at a time, like every month or like every other month. So I got to be this sparkly thing that like rolled into town and like brought supplies and hung out with people just long enough.
The marshmallow lady's here.
100%.
She's got Funyuns. They got the new spicy ones. Come on, guys. Socks.
Socks. So I worked for NVO for a very long time over the winter and back into the summer. And it, again, like when you're there, when there's only 100 people there, it's such an incredible experience to get to hang out with all those people and get to work on the projects that are going on out there. So now I don't know what's changed for me aside from meeting man is, the people that like I know and love out there, like having been able to spend the time that I've spent off season with people really makes me look forward to seeing those people in like a more personal way. But as far as the event goes, I feel a huge sense of responsibility for my team to make sure that not only are we absolutely kicking ass at our jobs, but that we're having some fucking fun while we're doing it, because that's part of it. Half my team is volunteers, and I've got to make sure that not only are all their needs met, but that they feel like they're out there to have a good fucking time as well.
Are you one of the teams that gets to like take the event off?
Not myself personally, and not the two assistant managers that I have. We are on call for the week. So if there's some, like a mile per hour sign, not any of the street signs, we don't replace them, because as soon as we replace them, someone's just going to steal them.
6 o'clock and G is down again.
Like,
Go, go, go.
Like, unless the tea steak is down, we're not messing with that madness. We rotate days. So, we will have some days off, and like, it isn't like I'm working the entire event.
Right.
Like a lot of people
you just have
like,
to
I have
remain
a radio.
responsible on your
Exactly.
on-call days.
Exactly. But the rest of the team, I fight really hard for them to be off. Like last year, I front loaded a lot of our work just to make sure that if anything fucking happened, we would be okay and not like scrambling to get something that was super integral done. When I was like, trucks are buried and I'm coming up with these schemes to like get people out of our flooded camp and in a way that we can load a structure to make sure that we can go out and like get these things done. Like I remember Coyote coming and him being like, hey, like, it's okay if you guys are like putting up signs like after gate opens, like, they had said in morning meeting, like it might be good for the participants to see some of DPW like out there working, like while the event is going on, for them to like recognize our presence and like what we do. And I mean, I didn't say this at the time, but I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Like, we're going to get out there so that all of the people that have been working their ass off for these past months are going to get to go do the thing that they're fucking here to do and not have to worry, especially my volunteers. Like, there's no way I'm asking anyone.
How do you know they don't want to
volunteering
volunteer as ambassadors for Coyote?
Listen,
No, that's the problem. They do and they will.
yeah.
So that's why it's her job
Yes.
to make sure that they
And
don't have
I
to.
definitely have people on my crew that would volunteer through the event a bit as their working vacation. So I feel a different sense of making sure in a as best as I can that like everybody's gonna fucking get to do what they want to do.
Well, kudos to you.
Thanks. I'm trying.
It's good. When you stop trying, you got to step down.
Definitely. I hear that. I do.
It's the best. Just
Yeah.
being able to hang out again after a bunch of responsibility on play is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's my my production assistant manager. Her goal this year is to make sure I have more fun.
You should.
That is a solid assistant.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They both are.
Hang on to that one.
Yeah, definitely.
We can have
never letting him
assistants?
go.
How many assistants can I have?
You have like 4 assistants.
Receptionist and secretary. How many of those can I have?
None.
Zero.
You don't have appointments.
We'll circle back up. Let's put that in the parking lot for now. Have you seen any good or catastrophic injuries that aren't fun to talk about on Playa?
Oh, yeah. This is why I have the firm belief that, like, if you have partaken in something that could potentially make you fall, don't climb anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And we were at this camp that had hoops, like, strung. You know, I mean, I don't know if they intended for them to be this low or anything like that, but any person could come, like, walk by and grab on this hoop. And if you were, like, strong enough, you could, like, pull yourself up on this hoop. Clearly, it's meant for an aerial performer and not that.
Yeah.
And
not just a guy.
Yeah. And I saw just a guy who was clearly not in his right state of mind somehow get himself up there and spectacularly fall in a way that I think he broke, like, collarbone, arm, leg. Like, it was just like some of the gnarliest I've seen.
Better than neck.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Like, not that I want anyone to fall down and get hurt.
Yeah.
Or get hurt, period. But
But
Let's
if you're
all
gonna
admit
do it, spinal.
No, not up to spinal, but there are some guys who maybe have a little bit too much confidence or maybe even arrogance. And like sometimes you got to fall down and break your collarbone.
Ugh, terrible.
I never have.
Yeah.
I know my limitations. I'm a ground guy.
Yeah, I get that. I do. And plus, I mean, there was the Ferris wheel situation with the 4 seats that like
The one that like moved was like
it
self-powered.
it was by your body weight, right? So you had to have like equal things happening in order to get it to actually like
That was the
stuff
one
like
2
that,
years
too.
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, dude. No.
And I know that someone definitely got very injured on that. And that kind of stuff I always look at and I'm like, I question going on like carnival rides. I don't know if I'm gonna.
Yeah. And this is a carnival ride that like not only did you set up in not enough time without enough sleep, but you made it yourself.
And it's made out of wood, and I don't know exactly how it's being held together.
Well, we don't know what wood it's made out of. Like if it's made out of fur, that's great.
Yeah.
If it's made out of just some fucking pine, no.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll go up almost anything. Those trampolines that were strapped together with hose clamps, fine, awesome, perfect. Ladders straight up into the sky, that was kind of a hard limit.
That was not a thing I expected to have done.
But I've never gone on any of the like rides. That always just seems a little jank.
Did you go on the Ferris wheel when the actual Ferris wheel was out one year?
Yes, and it went too fast and I didn't like it. But I was with a
wild.
pretty girl, so I did it.
Oh.
But like, boy, was I not able to have any fun when I was on it because that
Yeah.
was going too fast.
That was a fun time.
I did take the Chairway to Heaven.
What was that?
It was out in front of Spanky's, and it was just a seat on a pole that you sat on, and it shot you like
That's pretty cool.
25, 30 feet in the air, and then they gave you a propane enema.
Okay. What?
Yeah, I mean, that was
How?
Same time, we're both like,
Yeah, those words don't work together.
at all.
Yeah,
No,
not in the
way.
way that you
No
think
way.
they would.
that was their name for it. It was not precise. The propane did not go all the way up your asshole.
Okay.
They just filled your butt crack with it and
Whoa.
lit it on fire.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't
That's a good way to wax your asshole.
smell like a burned cat.
I forgot about an injury that I didn't witness out there, but it happened to a very, very dear friend of mine. And it was when someone brought out the like gravity rocket that bursts people's eye vessels.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm forgetting exactly what the name of it was, but it was something that would like hit some sort of like G's or something in it. And
Like a gravitron?
I don't know exactly. I think it looked like a rocket.
It was more like one of the ones that you see in the right stuff, like a NASA
capsule on a centrifuge.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
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 I saw it and was just like, no.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Capsule centrifuge. My friend goes in it and she ends up coming out, and over time, the whites of her eyes
No.
turned completely blood red.
Oh.
And it was the hottest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Like demon in the flesh.
Like I've seen kind of that from a kid getting his eye poked with a stick when we were playing War in the Woods when I was a kid, but like not both eyes, not full.
I'll show you a picture when we're done.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You walk into Spike's wine bar rocking that look, free drinks all night.
Yes.
Speaking
go.
of that, with the rocket chair you were talking about before, real good idea for a machine to bring to Playa, which no one should do. But if you want to do a thing, this is an easier way to do it. Those accessibility chairs that like go up the stairs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to make a frame to hold 2 tubes so that you could go on a whole little tour around a camp on one of those things.
Yes. That would be it.
Yeah, I want that out there. So come up with it and then give me the address of where it'll be at, and I'll be there at some point, maybe.
All right. I'm gonna iterate on your idea here.
Great.
Build just a straight staircase.
Yeah,
like a
definitely.
like a 2-floor staircase. you run.
I'm in.
You run the chair up it. They get off the chair at the top. First, like 3 stairs, completely false, drop you right into a slide.
Done.
Or, hear me out, it could also be the most awkward, slowest chair ride back down.
Very fast up.
Because you know
very
that's like the
slow
thing
down.
with those chairs, that it's like painfully slow. So you
Yeah.
have this like amazing journey up, and then it's just super awkward the rest of the way down.
Yep. Great.
And it plays you Afternoon Delight as you go.
Well, it plays you Afternoon Delight on the way up and MacArthur Park on the way down.
Why do you hate burners so much?
Well, I also think it's funny to have a really slow ride so that like there's an ever increasingly long line of the people who wait in lines at Burning Man.
But you-
like if you create this thing, I won't go on it because I'll show up and there'll be a line that's half a block long, and that's 3 people too long.
You have to tell people when they come down, though, that they have to tell everyone it was the most
Oh, it's awesome.
experience
Yeah.
that
It's
they've
awesome.
ever had. So people really wait in the line for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and if they won't do that, you have to have a fake lawyer there to keep interrupting them.
Have you ever had that happen to you outside of a porta potty, where you walk out of a porta potty and people are like just full on board meeting?
Yes, I have had that once.
I have
It was
seen
amazing.
that. I've seen it. I haven't
Incredible.
had it happen to me. I've also seen the one where it was kind of like aliens and like a hazmat situation when the
haven't seen
person came out as well.
A long time ago, and I believe I may have told this story on the podcast once or twice before, like 2008 or so. I was walking somewhere in the avenues around 4:30, and like I'm dehydrated and tired and heading home and not feeling as happy as I should be feeling at Burning Man. And around the corner turns an art car that is just like a car with a flatbed trailer connected to it with a board
the
table
board
on
room.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. And just all of these people shouting at each other and throwing shit at each other and having like a very boisterous board meeting.
But,
yeah,
like,
it was
dressed
amazing.
to the nines,
everyone
in
in
office
suits
attire.
and ties and pantsuits.
100%.
Briefcases, like a whiteboard.
Yeah, that's one of
People
my
jumping
favorites.
on and off the flatbed, like with briefcases and suits. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites to see out there.
The only
Definitely in
business
boardroom.
people I've interacted with out there have been the bankers when I walked into their lobby and they tried to
What?
help me open an account.
Where was the bank?
Just in the middle of Playa. It's just like
Incredible.
like
They just had like columns.
they just had like bank furniture and like cubicle dividers.
Wow.
And like lounge chairs, and you walk up and they're like, "Hi, welcome, have a seat. We'll be right with you."
I have a lot of extra and unnecessary cubicle walls, it turns out.
Let's
if
go.
anyone needs like, I'm going to say 8 to 30 of them
Wow.
for a project.
That's an art project right there.
I know.
All we have to do is make a little like set of cubicles in deep Playa, and then
We are not setting up the desks and everything. We can just have the dividers.
why not?
Why not? have
Because the
people-
desks are incredibly heavy and the brackets to connect them with are a huge pain in the ass.
Oh, well, then we don't use the authentic things. We make them out of shit.
Or you just have other people bring that.
But then we tell a little office story with the contents of the cubicles.
Make it a maze.
We should just fill all of the drawers with like candy wrappers and used condoms and
You know what's
stickers
gonna
for
happen.
things that
Someone's going to poop in there.
they are. And then someone's going to be reaching for a bunch of stickers and you're going to be like, well, this is too dry to be poop. But you're wrong. What a disgusting hobby we have.
The name of the art piece is just "Don't Poop Here."
Asking for it. Asking for it.
Has there ever been a moment where you thought, you know what, maybe this whole thing is stupid and I shouldn't waste my time and energy doing this big party in the desert anymore?
2013.
Yeah?
2013 was the year I should not have gone to Burning Man. It's the only year that my husband and I were able to go for a short amount of time, like Wednesday through Sunday. Never had done anything like that before. Pushed it so that it was like, you do the all night drive to set up in the morning so that and never do that, and we were camping in the car together, which in 2012 was fine for me, but him being as large as he is, the two of us in the car was kind of cumbersome. It was like
So you're not driving an Escalade is what I mean.
well, it was a Pacifica, so it was like a larger kind of minivan crossover situation, but he's still a very big human and all of our stuff just right outside. It was fine for me, but not for the two of us. And Wednesday night, we met up with some friends at Camp ? And we were hanging out and deciding to partake. And I was sitting down at like this level, and my friend was standing in front of me and went to give me something on her pinky nail. And at the same time, I turned my head and the entirety of it went into my eyeball.
Oh God. Oh no. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it is. There is nothing. No substance that is fun to take that you should put in your eyeball.
It could have been a dick that also shouldn't go in your eye.
So
I've got the courage to say it. A lot of people have been thinking it.
So they are already well on their way in their evening. And so they're freaking out, right? Like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God. And I can clearly see that, like, if I don't reassure them that I'm okay, it's going to be a thing. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And we like chill for a second. And then I look at my partner and I'm like, you've got to take me to medical. And so we escape, and I'm fucking, high as balls, obviously, at this point. And we like gets medical, and I'm like, so this happened, and I don't know. And they like put some solution in my eye, see if there's like a scratch in places that there shouldn't be. And they like bandage me up, and I have to wear a fucking patch over my eye.
Big white gauze patch or the gross skin color one?
It was definitely like a gauze patch that I put, like a pirate patch on.
Good. That one's honest.
We go back to camp, and the next day I'm just like laid out, and I'm like, I'm just going to sleep here in camp, and like you should go out. And my partner and like a couple of our friends like went out on bikes and stuff. And I'm like I get up and I'm kind of like chilling in camp, just like sitting on this bench. And I look up and I see my partner is being hauled into camp, like over, like his arms over our two friends' shoulders.
Ooh.
And with like the size that he is, I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like while we were out there. So they plop him down next to me, and he was riding his bike in flip-flops, and with his ginormous feet ends up like somehow like ripping his big toenail off while he's riding his bike. And as he's leaning over his bike to like wrap up his toe, completely passes out. Just like ass over tea kettle over bike, giant man bleeding toe situation. So they bring him back to camp and, bandage him up. And the two of us are like sitting there in camp, like, what the fuck is happening? And I shit you fucking not. We're sitting there just like commiserating with each other. I've got like my head in his lap, and we're just like, what the fuck are we doing out here? I think we had also just gotten back from a friend's wedding in Hawaii and like left paradise to like come
to go to the desert and be haggard.
And we're sitting there, and this like drunk girl wanders into camp and like plops herself down on his other leg with like my head here. And she's like, hey, like, what's going on over here, y'all? Like this. And I'm like, and I'm like, of all the fucking times that this has to happen, like every year, it's like, sure, that would
like
be
yesterday or tomorrow.
dream come
Yes,
true. Let's do this. But the one fucking time we're both like laid the fuck out, this is what's happening right now. And I like sit up and I'm just looking at her like dumbfounded, like, are you kidding me? Is this is really happening right now?
Hey, cutie, you're kind of pale. You all right?
I'm just like, I am in no shape with my fucking pirate patch to be like trying to have sexy times. And of course, like her.
Well, I'm down one eye. He's only got 9/10 of a foot left.
Yeah,
but
like, let's go.
You got some caffeine or something? I don't know.
So I'm like sitting there looking at her, and my partner's like looking at her, and she's just like clearly intoxicated. So I'm like, listen, where are you camped? This is not a good idea for any of us. I don't know you. You don't know us. You're clearly intoxicated. Where can I take you? Essentially. And her sister like wanders over and is like, "What are you doing to these people? You don't even know these people. Look at her. She's got an eye patch. Why are you doing this right now?"
She's always like this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
And I was like, "Thank you for coming to get her. I really appreciate it."
She just can't keep her paraphilia under control when she gets to drinking. She's like,
God.
she sees somebody with a visible injury. She's like,
Let's go.
Spaloosh.
And then the kicker to top it all off, we're like packing up everything to leave and our fucking car won't start. And you know that point where you're just like packed up, so ready to leave, and like this thing happens, and I just remember like sitting in the front seat. I was probably naked, just like I'm so fucking ready to get the fuck out of here. And luckily, my dear friend comes over with a fucking like big ass mallet and is like, "All I got to do is this," and like whacks underneath our battery or something, and just like gets something to fucking.
Oh, yeah. If you hit a starter hard enough, you can keep using that starter.
Yeah, it was wild. And
For a while till you can't.
so thankful that happened, because damn did I want to like hit something.
No. It's like the one time hitting things will work for now.
So good. And then to round everything out, we're like driving out and I'm so happy. And we round this corner and I like turn my head to look back at the city. And all I see is this dude who's got a white t-shirt on and is covered in shit from like his ass all the way down his legs to the bottom of his feet, just like doing this like crab walk trying to get back into camp. And I was like,
oh God.
This sums up my 2013.
That guy is this year. Good night.
100%.
Jesus Christ.
So how did you get the playa name Dark Sparkle?
Typically, well, I can tell you exactly how it happened. I was wearing something that was covered in head to toe with like oil slick black rhinestones. Please don't kill me, Resto. It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago.
None of us are born perfect. We make mistakes.
Definitely. And there was some like massive dust storm that we like, you know, when you have to like huddle up together and you can someone can like peek up their head at some point and try to use like see if they could see the man. If you could like in between the dust bowl, you're like, "Oh, I saw some neon. I think the man is in this direction." So we're like huddled up and we're like making our way. We finally make our way back to something off of Esplanade. And I like walked out of the dust storm and someone was like, "Oh my God, look at that dark sparkle." And that was it from that point on.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's the color of my soul.
It's a good one.
Let's just go with that instead of the rhinestones. Like how all the rest of people are going to kill me.
Was there a thing in 06 that you saw or experienced that like made you realize that this was your forever home?
I think all of it,
Yeah.
honestly. Like being from Florida, I was amazed to come to California and that there were still raves or like festivals or anything happening. There was like a lot of laws that were made in Florida when I was raving that were like anti-rave, you know, anti any of that stuff.
If you're caught saying MDMA, that's 3 years.
Yeah, it was, well, also because like downtown Orlando, like where our clubs were, is also like where the financial district and all that shit was. So you've got
That shit's closed
like,
at night.
but we would still be there leaving
Well,
in
yeah,
the
that's-
morning,
well.
like when everybody's going to work, you know
People
what I
are
mean?
trying.
You don't get to both wear a suit and be uncomfortable.
People are trying to do their morning cocaine in peace.
Yes.
And there's all these strung out kids
Absolutely.
everywhere.
Absolutely. You know, so I was just amazed that there were still things that were happening that I could go to, that I could keep doing the thing that I love and become like a part of this community that was still doing all of these things that I love, including these like small outdoor camp out festivals. And I could still DJ, I could still dance, and we could actually like take our kids to some of these things. They like grew up in this community. And so knowing that I'd wanted to go to Burning Man for so long and then finally getting to go get to have that experience of all of it as a whole, just that it still exists. Like the fact that we get to throw this party in the fucking desert is mind-boggling to me. You know, like it is truly like, I can't believe that this happens every year and that we get to do this.
Federal land is the best. All those motherfuckers who are down with federal land. No. It's the best.
Yeah. So I think that I don't really remember like bigger art pieces besides the man that year as like my first experience. I remember this like giant pair of like wooden painted butterfly wings that I took a picture in front of or something. Like, you know, the random desk that you sit at that maybe has a phone that someone talks to you on. But you know that this is before the LED revolution. So there was like a lot more fire and a lot of different things.
A lot of lanterns, a lot of EL wire.
Incredible dark art.
I don't
back
even
in
know
those
that
days.
there was that much like EL wire back then, to be honest with you.
Not in big installations. It was on people.
Maybe. I don't know that I remember it really being on people too back then.
I don't think that really, like, that was quick. That was like 2008 to 2012 or 14.
I
And then
feel like
faded
it came
into
like a
LEDs.
little bit later. The thing that I do remember, and I don't remember.
Our headlamps were such shit back then. Oh my God. You had a
Lumen.
You had
What
a
is
draw
that?
distance of like 15 feet if you were lucky.
Yeah. The thing that I do remember the most is the propane poofer giant X that they had that was so amazing because you would just be like wandering around and then all of a sudden you'd like bump into this like piece of trash fence that's like wrapped around this propane
And you're like,
tank.
what's this? And then your shadow is fucking 50 feet behind you.
Like it was just like you have no idea like what's kind of, so you're know kind of trying to figure out if this is trash. Why is it in the middle of nothing?
Can I
Like,
climb
what's
over
going
this?
on here? Like, and then all of a sudden it's just like this row of like flames that are shooting around in, you know, different directions and stuff. And I remember that was super incredible. You know,
Remember Cubitron when that showed up?
that was so amazing.
Oh, it was the first coolest thing out there.
It so was. What was your favorite thing that it did?
So the first year that it came out, like I was there at the beginning. I was there before they put the trash fence around it because people
were
started
underneath it.
stealing the ping pong balls.
They did? I just remember laying down underneath
Yeah, no, like the first 2 or 3 nights you could lay underneath it, and when the rain started falling
That was
through
my
the 3D display,
Yes.
and everyone under there went at the same time, like I was a person with other people.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like that year, me and my sister found it. And we went back every night, and the third night we were there, I had like my only serendipitous magical moment I've ever really had on Playa. We were high, and we were there for a long time.
Yeah.
And we were planning on being there till sunrise, but it was like 2:30 in the morning, and it was really, really cold.
Yeah.
And finally, I was just like, look, we have to go back to camp so I can get some warm clothes, or I'm going to die. So I get my water bottle, and I open up my backpack to put my water bottle in it, and somebody at some point put a faux fur jacket that fit me in my backpack. And I was able to just put that right on and not move and be high in front of the Cubitron for like the next 4 hours.
Oh my God, the Playa provides.
Yeah, it did that once. The rest of the time, it's me actively throwing my shit into the dark because I'm angry at it. And somebody else is like, this is an amazing jacket and humongous water bottle. Where did this treasure chest of someone else's drugs come from?
I do remember the monkey and the snake was super amazing. Do you remember that? The zoetrope?
Homo uberos? Yeah.
That was, oh, yes.
Yeah, I've got his head.
Yeah.
I've got one of the heads
That
from the bikes.
It's still to this day one of my favorites that I've seen out there. I mean, Chiron was also super good by the same artist, but
That's the leg. That's the leg
I
from
only
one of
have
the
a
skeletons.
candle.
I designed the boats, the canoes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was so intense. And then Big Rig Jig, climbing up in Big Rig Jig.
Yeah.
Super fun. The Waffle. I love the Waffle.
Oh, there should be more art projects
that.
out on Playa that are just
100%.
a part of you experiencing this art is just watching people continue to build it.
Yeah. But do you remember when they had to move us all back? Like,
Oh,
whole
yeah.
burn crowd.
Yeah, and I started off
was
like
so
a
hot.
quarter mile or so from it.
Yeah, like I feel like we were like up close to it, and they were it was so hot, and trying to get that entire crowd to move back was not an easy feat.
No.
I'm
Pull
shocked
off.
they didn't understand how hot it was going to be.
Seriously.
It was basically a perfect fire.
100%. Yeah, like just matchsticks with air holes around it, you know? But did you heard the story of like what happened with those people, the Belgians that came to build it?
Probably not. And if I did, I'm
Are
sure
you
I
talking
forgot
about
it.
their commodification of their art?
No, but we can talk about that.
Oh.
Yeah, we should talk about that too. I don't know anything.
Or are you talking about how much they hated people calling it the waffle?
I don't know that.
Oh, yeah. The name of that art piece is Zirconia.
Oh.
And just because we are from Belgium does not mean that everything we create is a tasty waffle.
Those poor Belgians.
But what the hell's that word that you made up?
It's just a name, man.
Yeah. Well,
We like accidentally walked by their camp one day, and it was just like these very, very, very neat rows. This is what I've been told, but you know, accuracy third. I could be completely wrong. But what I was told, we walked by their camp, we talked to a couple of them there, and we were like, what's happening here? Because it was like, you know, one person backpacking tent, just like row after row.
Ooh.
And we're like, how is this your camp? And you're like building this incredible structure. And apparently, like all of their everything got stuck back in either like customs or something.
Oh, no.
And they landed apparently like without anything and didn't know what to do and didn't know how they were going to.
Customs was like, why are you bringing 20 air compressors with you?
Seriously.
No.
And I guess some like benefactor had stepped up to the plate and just like gotten them everything that they would need for their camp in order for them to be able to complete this mad structure that they were building out there.
Wow. No, I had no
So
idea.
I've been
I hope that's the guy from the Root Society. I like that
I
rich guy
miss-
from the Root Society.
I
Wasn't that the best dome that's ever been on Playa? Ever.
I miss Ruth Society so much.
Best place to nap during the day I have ever found in my entire life.
I also blame them for the start of dubstep on Playa.
I wish we would bring dubstep back to Playa.
I will. I do.
Oh, great. Well, let me know where you spin. I want that in hip hop only.
I love it.
Can we have some drum and bass?
yeah.
We can have some drum and bass if we're only having some drum and bass.
Listen.
The 90s must continue at least a little.
So when
Just a little.
when my team was messaging me about your call out on the podcast,
I fucking love that.
and I was like I like listen. Of course, I listened to the episode, and I was like, oh man, they must know of my crazy fear of public speaking because this is like going to be a nerve wracking experience for me. And my teammate Dino was like, you know, you should just go on there and play like 30 minutes of drum and bass. For that.
I mean, you should give me 30 minutes of drum and bass, and that'll score the episode.
Dark Sparkle.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for answering the call.
absolutely, absolutely. I love the call out.
In my own defense, you had already offered.
It's true. It is true. I do love the podcast. I was leaving for one of my in-between contract times, and Mobo actually recommended that I listen to you, and I had a little bit of time, and I remember I started from the beginning, and I listened to the entirety of everything that I could listen to during my in-between contracts so that I could keep my toes like dipped in. And I will never forget like the times that it totally would catch me off guard. I think like Slim's story when he started all of the stuff for the burners to come out to the temple when they're like not going to be there the next year. And I'm
Right.
like standing in my kitchen, like bawling my eyes out. Like this, it's just so many times I've listened to something and it has not only brought me great joy, but like so much like more realness to like everything that we do and all the people that we know and love out there.
Yay.
Yeah.
And now you're part of it.
Now I'm a part of it. First time podcast ever in my life. So,
You did spectacular.
oh, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yay.
Nothing to be afraid of.
Okay, good. We'll see when it comes out who gets mad at me for saying what.
We'll see.
We shall see.
I'm pretty sure you only threw Coyote under the bus.
Oh, Lord. That's going to go great.
If ever there was a man who could take a joke.
Yes.
And that was Dark Sparkle. Now, I was going to have the story that you just heard a couple minutes ago about Dark Sparkle and her big, handsome beau who lost a good portion of his toe as the button after the outro at the end of the episode. But it turns out that I have a couple things to say about Dark Sparkle's beau's toe.
Oh,
And it's this.
talk about the bow toe.
Once upon a time, when I was a child, I knew an old hippie named Billy Thompson. Billy Thompson, he dead. But he was one of my dad's best friends. I'm pretty sure from like back in the day in Brooklyn, if not from college, and then for the next like 40 or 50 years. Billy Thompson only had 9 toes. He had all of the toes on his left foot, and he had all of the minor toes on his right foot.
Most of his toes.
But he was missing his big toe.
Missing the heavy lifter.
Yes, he was. The balancing toe, they call it. Billy Thompson lost his toe by riding a bicycle with flip-flops on.
Ah!
And Billy Thompson's toe got caught in the chain and pulled through the sprocket.
Fuck.
And then that wasn't Billy Thompson's toe anymore.
He's no.
Not a clean wound.
It's
in
already
any sense.
so upsetting to see drunk hippies in flip flops riding bicycles like they haven't been on them in a decade.
I have done many irresponsible, dangerous things that I knew could get me hurt since I was a child, but I have never fucking ridden a bicycle with anything other than closed-toed shoes on. And I've always kind of felt like I can get on my high horse and tell some people how it is and what's dangerous. And I've never really been comfortable telling people like, you shouldn't do that. My dad's friend lost his toe. But now I kind of feel like I should have been that bitch the whole time, finding out that this has also happened to Dark Sparkle's partner.
Yikes.
That's my note in the notes about Billy Thompson toe story.
Gotcha.
That's in the
Solid.
outs, not in the ins.
Yeah,
Don't want
yeah.
to spoil that one.
Great. Solid.
Y'all got anything else for the outs? Oh, Beth, we're having our listener appreciation party at Sign Shop this year.
No shit, really?
Yes.
That's so exciting.
They didn't invite us.
Oh, well, are we
I just
then?
decided. I think so.
Yeah,
Voluntelling.
it's
Dark Sparkle is taking this back to the team in terms of her team will listen to this, and then someone will probably reach out to us and ask us not to have the party at Sign Shop.
I feel like we need like an enthusiastic yes. Like the party isn't just like tolerable. Like we need sex.
So
levels of
now consent extends to parties?
I don't want
I
to.
want my country back.
We could do it in center camp again.
I don't want our party.
Oh
to
my
be
God,
an
we did it in
inconvenience.
center camp before.
And we could do it again.
Was that 2 years ago?
We could take over
That
the center
was
of center.
Yeah, because I didn't go to
back.
center camp last year. Right. Well, maybe we're not, listeners. We'll get back to you. But what we do know is that Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third. And the music in this episode is by Rainbow Warrior. That is all zeros, no O's. Rainbow Warrior, one word. And Rainbow Warrior is Dark Sparkle.
Where are there zeros in Rainbow Warrior?
In the bow.
BOW and IOR. But those are zeros. But the point is, the spelling is in the show notes, where even people who, what's that thing you got with the
Dyslexic.
letters? Dyslexics. Even dyslexics are people, is my point. And they should have the same rights that we afford women when we feel like.
Even dyslexics can click links.
You can follow us on Gab or on Rumble or the other fascist hell site. What's that called? Twitter.
X.
We're actually on none of those things.
Can't. I've logged all the way off Twitter.
We are on Blue Sky. We have all logged off Twitter. It feels fucking great to not interact with Twitter. Hey, if you're still on Twitter, you got to ask yourself, why?
It does feel great, especially now that Blue Sky is sort of doing the thing that I really liked Twitter to do, and also like way queerer.
The queerest.
It's
the
fantastic.
queersiest. And also the most, what's that thing where when your brain don't write?
The neurodivergent?
Yes.
Ah.
It's so fucking fun and funny on there.
Yeah. Blue Sky. Blue Sky forever. You can also get on the Discord. I think, did we already talk about Discord? We talked about Discord.
We talked
in the
about
intro.
Discord in the front, but this is the back. Also Discord. And email us at accuracythird@gmail.com and tell us that you want to schedule a time with us to tell us your Burning Man stories.
Come talk to us. That's the best way to support this podcast out there.
Yeah, come to the Shedio. Let us pour drinks down your neck.
And if that isn't in your cards, one of the other ways you can support us is by recommending us to your team, to your fellow Burning Man camp mates. It's very easy, and it costs none money. And if you want it to cost some money...
Yeah, if it feels real nice that it costs... you need to get over to our Patreon and do what your filthy little pay pig heart commands. Give us some money.
And thank you to a whole smattering of our $5 patrons. Thank you to Sarah and Jen and Mark and Keslow and Kristen and Mike and Emily and Jen and Jimmy and Nomad So Bad and Crystal with a K. Crystal with a K, who would like us to give them a playa name.
Oh, Crystal wants a playa name.
Crystal wants a playa name.
Oh,
Do we
well,
have
you
a
got
pet picture?
You got to feed us some deets.
We do not have a pet picture from Crystal. We do have a pet picture from our other patron who would like a playa name, but who will not be getting a playa name in this episode. Here is a picture of Crystal.
Well, hello, human.
You know Crystal.
Yeah, we know Crystal.
We had our listener appreciation party at Crystal's very own Playa Home Companion.
Face blind. Yes. that is that lovely human who helped host our party.
Hi, Crystal. Thank you for helping us host our party.
And
Crystal,
for not pressing charges.
and for not pressing charges
About that bottle.
against us and that party. And I'm sorry about the bottle. I stole your bottle on purpose.
She could have had
I've
BLM
never admitted
on
that
your ass
until now.
about
I
that
wanted
bottle.
your fancy bottle, and I was butthurt that I had to bring it back to you. But you were a delightful lady, and I'm glad I did.
Listeners, that was a growth. DJ did a growth.
Her answer to the question of who should provide her with a playa name, she says it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Any of us can provide her with a playa name. So that opens things up considerably.
All right.
Crystal's most embarrassing playa moment, which I haven't told her that I'm going to share on the podcast, but obviously I am right now, is I got too drunk the first night it rained. We have a stage and a shitty speaker in my camp, and we were doing makeshift karaoke. I couldn't remember any of the words to the song I picked, so I just mowed along to the music. Maybe mewed along to the music? Hopefully it was mowing.
Probably mewed.
Then I slipped in the mud with my bare feet and fell off the stage.
Oh, no. Crystal.
I need a playa name for my gate shifts so they don't just print my full first and last name on my ID, and so I can have something better to say on the radio than my name.
I think it's kind of like right there, obvious.
Wait. Gate wouldn't let her just have her first name be her playa name, Baba Louie.
Yep.
And that is all of the information that we have from Crystal. She can't tell us any of the playa names that she got that didn't last because she has never been given a playa name. I vote for Tea Kettle.
I was going to go for Stage Dive.
Those are two pretty fucking good playa names right off the bat, Crystal. Beth, you got anything?
I mean, I didn't have a strong one, but I feel like Stage Dive is much more gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stage Dive is pretty fucking gate.
Yeah.
So is Ass Over.
Ass
If
over.
you want to go with
Yeah,
Ass Over instead of Tea Kettle.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Ass Over.
Ass over
better
is
than
even
Tea Kettle.
more gate.
Well, Ass Over.
Ass Over or Stage Dive.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
if you don't
those are
like
both
that,
solid.
We're going to
No,
give
we
you an
are
A.
so good at giving people like three fucking suggestions. Man, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? Hey, listeners, thank you so much for quote unquote tuning into this podcast, quote unquote, all the fucking time. You guys make all of the work that we pour into this project so worthwhile. Thank you.
So at what point did you get to know Scummy?
Do I know Scummy?
Summer?
So, Summer.
Oh, has she managed to completely ditch that? Good job, Summer.
I have not heard that name at all since I've known her.
I think that was actually her ranger handle, but I
Right.
could be wrong about that.
Summer was a ranger?
Yeah, we worked a ranger shift together once.
You're lying.
Why would I lie about the homie? Come on.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think she really took to it. I think she did like 1 year.
Oh man.
This is good
Summer.
material. Who's this?
Summer is an absolutely incredible woman that is on the Heat team, and she owns a home in Gerlach and is just one of the most badass people I've ever met in my entire life. And it's a very funny story of how I met Summer. I feel like I probably saw her running some heavy equipment. I've been told I have a competency kink, and I have like a lot of crushes on the women, with like women and thems that I work with. That is like, if I see you just crushing it at the thing, I'm like, I love that. I am so stoked on the people that I get to work with and how hard they work, but especially the women who will out party me and then show up the next day just like ready to build shit and like kick ass. It's amazing. Summer is one of those people. And I believe it was in 2021 when I was out there for NVO, and we were at one of the bars in town, and I saw her with Human, a male person, man, that she was hanging out with at the time. And I was like, is this your boyfriend? And of course, she's like, what? Why we gotta, what? Like, why would you put me in the position of like labeling whatever this
Why you got a
is?
girlfriend, homie?
Like, whatever this is, you know? And we, like, over the time of just me being out there when not crew was out there, like NVO stuff, you know, just like actually hanging out with the locals and being able to talk with people that's not during the DPW madness, and actually like hanging out with them and getting to know them and knowing them in like a more personal level. I think that really happened for Summer and I in 2021. Yeah. And that's how we met and started hanging out. And I'm sure that she probably, along with a lot of people, see like how hard I work and how much I love being out there. And so likes to be like hang out with me, like when I'm in town, you know?
When you and I first met, she was there, and you got the Summer stamp of approval. So that's like one of the best possible recommendations.
I love that.
So Summer and I theme camped together during my very brief, ill-formed theme camp period.
And then rangered together?
Yeah, she also
Fucking blown away by this.
when I moved from Sacramento to Portland, she came along and was my roommate for a while.
So you know her from Sacramento?
Yes.
Well, can we get Summer in the studio?
Oh my God, I would love that with all my heart and soul. Summer is one of my favorite people.
Maybe we can podcast at her house in Gerlach. Summer, you should listen to this podcast because your friend's on it, even though this probably isn't making it into the episode. So I don't know how you'll hear this, but invite us over. We'll podcast
I
you.
hope some of that makes it into the episode. She throws an epic for us, like the people that work in town, and it would be wild for you to have a podcast.
Summer's got a...
Yeah, she sets it up for us during the summer.
I'm just going to have to drop in on her.
Maybe don't put that in or she'll kill me.
Sure. Easy.
She's the homie from way back. We have seen some shit together. She can't deny me access.
I mean, I know
she
some of
would.
your real old friends from Sacramento. Y'all are a hardy bunch.
Yeah.